It's match day. Hope you're all doing very well. Arsenal this evening. Bloody hell, this is quite a nerve-wracking one, isn't it? It's strange because I've been dreading this game, much like I was the Newcastle game, just games I wanted to get out of the way, to be honest, because our form was just so bad going into it. But obviously now we've got that result against Newcastle and the performance. It breathes a little bit of hope, doesn't it? Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking that, but it also then makes you feel quite nervous because now although it is a free hit, I will say that I feel that the Newcastle game now has taken the pressure off a little bit. But there's that part of me today now going into this thinking, you know what, if we can replicate that kind of performance that we got at St James's Park, you just never know. You never know. But in fact, I'll be heading off soon to go and watch it. So yeah, anxiety levels starting to rise a little bit now because I'm starting to feel like you never know. You know, there is a chance that we could get something today, and I really do hope we can. But obviously, Arsenal are going to be a very difficult opponent, absolutely, considering the fact they've got to try and get their title bid back on track. So, yeah, I'm expecting a very, very tough game. But, you know, also, I think West Ham will be up for it. I can see us giving them a game. Before I talk about Evan Ferguson, though, I just want to say, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. It's free to do so. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps us grow, as does hitting that like button. Again, that's probably less than 2 seconds. So if you can do that, we really do appreciate it. As I say, it does help the channel out massively. Evan Ferguson, then. I mean, this is one that's growing. It's growing and growing. And I'll tell you what, it's one now I'm taking more attention on because I've got to be honest, I wasn't that excited by it. When I say no, that's not true. I was excited by the link with Evan Ferguson, but I didn't really believe too much in it. I didn't think, loosely we were attached to it. Evan Ferguson might be going on loan from Brighton, might be available, blah, blah, blah. And West Ham are the name in the mix. I kind of thought it might be a little bit lazy journalism or something like that. But it appears there's more to it. Matt Law, a journalist, has put out an article on the piece and suggested that West Ham are favourites. And also gambling.com, who sent through some information, have said that West Ham are now evens. We're favourites to land the player in January, as early as January. So basically what the situation is that the player himself, who, let's get it straight, Evan Ferguson is a top striker. I mean, he's just turned 20 years old. He turned 20 in October. So he's a young lad. But he has been incredibly impressive. You know, Republic of Ireland international, I think he's played 17 games. Yes, 18 games for Republic of Ireland, scoring 4 goals already in his young career. But he's exceptional talent. We know how good he is. He's been really earmarked for something for the future. And he's already looking like a sort of a player that can probably be commanding a big move. You know, he's that good. He's a real top talent. He has had injury problems. That's his only negative. I have had a couple of people message me about that previously, and that's always been my only concern with the player. But absolutely no doubt that he is a top talent. So it appears that he is becoming quite frustrated with the current situation at Brighton. And it's one you can understand. It does make sense as to why, that he's frustrated and why also that he's not playing. Brighton are doing incredibly well. They really are doing well. I think they're second now in the league from last night's result. They got a draw against Southampton, which I'm a little bit fortunate about because I think their Southampton's goal was unfairly chalked off. But that's by the by. Brighton are doing very, very well this season. And Ferguson just can't get in the team. I mean, he just cannot get a chance because of the form of the players ahead of him, including Danny Welbeck. You know, he's a remarkable player, really, considering the fact the career he's had, you know, Manchester United, Arsenal, etc. He's done amazingly well. And he's in the twilight years of his career, but he seems to be getting better with age, doesn't he, Welbeck? But he's keeping Ferguson out. He's keeping him out of the team. Of course, the injuries haven't helped as well. But the player is now wanting to play, and you can totally understand it. He wants to get involved and wants to be playing his football. And there appears to be now an opportunity arising here whereby, one, he wants to move. He wants to get playing. Brighton understand it as well. They're firmly of the belief. They know he needs to be playing. And also, it's going to benefit Brighton. Let's get this straight. This would be a sensible move for them to get him out to a Premier League club, get him playing. And if he comes to somewhere like West Ham, he's going to be the main man. You know, no disrespect to Mikel Antonio, but if Ferguson's fit, he'll be the main man. He'll be the... and you imagine that it will be between him and Antonio certain games, but Ferguson certainly would be considered, as long as he's fit of course, would be the sort of the main man, the striker, and that would really help Brighton because that means he'll be getting his experience, he's increasing his value if they were to then go on to sell him. I'm not saying they would want to do that, but it creates that opportunity for them. So it kind of makes sense all round this. I do think it would it ticks a lot of boxes. And of course, with the situation that West Ham are in at the moment, we have got a situation whereby we've got a striker once again who is appearing to be failing at West Ham. I'm not trying to go at Falkirk with this. I know he's been injured, but we know he wants to go. He's not settled in. He's missing Germany, which I'm finding quite strange. It's only been here 5 minutes, and it's not far away, is it? But anyway, look, it is what it is. So West Ham needs to get this situation right. Now, I'm thinking more short term here. I'm trying not to think too far ahead. I'm not thinking, right, we want to get him in the summer, Ferguson. If we're going to get him, we want to make sure it's an option to buy and then we'll get that agreed. I don't think we can do that. I don't think Brighton would be open to that, personally. I don't imagine, or if they do, they may give West Ham, say, first refusal, but they're going to slap a huge price on it, maybe 60, 70 million quid. That's what I imagine they would end up doing. But let's just think short term for a minute. Let's think this season. And let's get this straight. I know people will say, well, you're talking about, rubbish at the moment, considering the fact the season that we've had so far. But European football is the target, 100%. West Ham really, we've got to try and get back in that European competition. We've got to try and get it for next season, which means a top 7, 8 finish. We've got to get there. And we need to turn the season around fast. The Newcastle game has hopefully given us that platform, that springboard to then kick on and start, especially with the fixtures, by the way, coming up. Not necessarily the Arsenal game, but after that. I mean, if West Ham get a result against Arsenal, by the way, can you imagine the mood and the confidence levels in East London then? Bloody hell. It would be fantastic. It would be a swift turnaround, I tell you. But we've got some big games coming up. But what my point is, if we can get someone in like Ferguson in early January, get a deal done now with Brighton, get it all in place. So by the time start of January hits, we get the player in on loan for the rest of the season. As I say, as long as he stays fit, that could be the difference. That could be the catalyst. That could be that could be the goals that get us European football. Forget the summer. Forget trying to get him on a permanent afterwards. That we can take care of that when it comes. This is what I think we should be doing. It makes so much sense for West Ham. And the interesting point is that we are the favourites at this stage, as it's understood to be. Player keen. Brighton seem open to the idea. And, of course, West Ham would be interested. Will West Ham do it? I don't know. It feels like such an obviously sensible move from the club if we are going to do this mid-season, get someone in of his quality. Do you trust West Ham to do it? That's where I've struggled because we've been let down so many times by West Ham, especially when it comes to the striker front. There's always this. So it's hard for me to be really confident this deal's going to happen at the moment. But I'm certainly more optimistic about it now. It feels like this is something that could happen. And the fact is that we are considered a front runner. And let's be honest, it'd be a great move for him. It really would. I mean, coming to somewhere like West Ham, big club, obviously got our European ambitions. We wouldn't have to play against. He wouldn't have to play against Brighton as well. So it's not exactly going to hamper them. I just feel like this would be a really good move for all parties if we can get it together. Of course, there's going to be a big transfer fee and wages and things like that. That's something we need to consider. But if we want to get European football this for next season, and I appreciate, look, we've got a lot of hurdles to overcome yet to sort of be a team that's going to be considered fighting for a top 7 finish. I'm not deluded. I do understand that there is a lot to be done. I'm not just going to, we've beaten Newcastle now, that's it. Here we come, top 6. But you get my point. If we can get our form decent in decent shape, especially leading into the new year, because the fixtures we've got, there's a lot of games in there we can pick some points up. Your Leicester's after Arsenal, we've got Southampton in there. We've got some games that we can get some points here going into the new year. And if we can get someone like Ferguson then to come in, just again lift that belief, lift that mood, a top draw striker, Premier League striker for the rest of the season. I just think it's a no-brainer. I really do. I think it's a real sensible move. And the fact that we are the favourites is really starting to give me some hope. I really hope that there is some sensible discussions being had at West Ham over this. I hope we are not being tight and thinking, well, it's going to be an expensive fee. And because what worries me is Sullivan, of course, and the fact that we just spent out a lot of money on a loan last season in Calvin Phillips, which was a total disaster. So I'm worried that aspect and worried that people like Sullivan's going to be going, well, and I'm not doing that again. We've had our fingers burnt here. And of course, there is that injury concern with Ferguson. That's my only issue with it. I'm worried that he'd come here, play for 5 minutes and be out for months. That's my only concern. But that aside, it's a sensible move. He's a top draw striker. And I'm thinking for this season, if we want to be considered, if we want to start battling to getting those European spots this season, then we're going to need a big boost, especially for the second half of the season. West Ham notoriously crap during January. We know that. We're really bad at it. We never seem to get it right. Look, I know people will be saying, hang on, what about Bowen and Souček? Yeah, I do remember those signs, but I'm talking opportunities that we've come across before where we could have pushed on and we've just not done it because of our reluctance to spend that sort of fees in January, etc. All right, I understand Ferguson loan won't be cheap, but I'll tell you what, if it's the difference between finishing, say, 10th or 8th and getting us into European football, then I think it'd be well worth every penny. So, interesting one. It really is. It's a big one. And of course, as well, you've got to consider the fact that Fulkrug could be off in January. We need to get him fit so we can sell him, but it looks like that could be the case. And I think if Fulkrug goes, then I think this looks a lot more appetising for us. I think that we can go for it. I think that's going to be quite key. But I really want West Ham to be ahead of this. I get the sale of Fulkrug arranged now. Get the deal for Ferguson done now. Get it leading, the month leading into January. Have all this done. So the 1st of January strikes, go, right, done. These deals are ready to go. That's my feeling on it, and I'm interested to know what you think. I think it's going to be, I think it's quite an exciting link, this one. And the fact that we're favourites is really starting to make me think something could happen here. It really could. Look, it's a big game today. Let's hope we get something out of it. It'd be great, wouldn't it? It would be amazing if West Ham can get something against Arsenal. I mean, a win would be just unbelievable. But I'd certainly take a draw at this stage. But let's wait and see. Come on, your irons.